Welcome to Ask a Pastor. In case you're new to this video forum, it's designed to put you in touch with the answers to real-life questions. And I'm not sure there's a question that needs more internet clarity than that of angels. One question we recently received was posed this way: what about angels? See, there's so much misinformation floating around the internet, it seemed like a no-brainer that we would address the issue of angels. The beautiful reality of the internet, of course, is that it's constantly teaching us timeless truths. It never requires fact-checking, never demands us to think twice. It calls us, beckons us to just believe. The internet is only and always true, right? Of course, it's not. If you've been around for more than 15 minutes, especially during an election year, it feels like half of what is produced online is fictional. In fact, I recently read a very factual looking article about saving money, and it read, if a person puts a dime into a piggy bank twice a day, after 2 years, that person will have saved $366,000. I read that and I thought, that's incredible. I need some dimes. And then I looked down at the post, and hundreds of shares. Then I did something unthinkable, something many people just don't do when assaulted with such obvious accounting. I did the 8 seconds of math required, and it turns out 2 dimes a day for 2 years is not $366,000, but $146. Or what about this video saying that if you rub peanut butter on a piece of coal and put it in the freezer, that it will turn into a diamond? I cannot believe the interwebs lied to me. So back to angels. We want to clear up the misinformation the internet has given some of you and then give you some clear Bible information. So what we're going to do is break up this big question, what about angels, into 4 smaller questions about angels. So here we go. Question number 1. Are angels real, and where did they come from? As we read the Bible together, we discover God created the entire universe, of which angels are a part of. In a passage that refers to angels, or the host or armies of heaven, we read, "You are the Lord, you alone. You have made heaven, the heaven of heavens, with all their host. The host of heaven worships you." In the New Testament, Paul tells us that God created all things visible and invisible, and specifically including the angelic world. So angels were created by God to establish his purposes. Question number 2. What kind of angels are there? Now, there appears to be 3 distinct kinds of angels mentioned in the Bible: cherubim, seraphim, and the living creatures. The cherubim is mentioned in several places throughout Scripture. Genesis chapter 3, for example, verse 24, it says the cherubim guarded the entrance to the Garden of Eden. Psalm 18, verse 10 says that God rides on them. I don't even know what that means. The seraphim is only mentioned once in the Bible. These guys appear in Isaiah chapter 6, verses 2 through 7, where they're continually worshiping the Lord, and they're singing and saying and shouting, "Holy, holy, holy is the Lord of hosts. The whole earth is full of his glory." And the living creatures are mentioned by Ezekiel and the book of Revelation. They speak of these heavenly beings around God's throne. They appear to be like a lion, an ox, a man, and an eagle, representing the various parts of God's creation. So they too, of course, worship God continually. Question number 3. Do people become angels after they die? The vast majority of Bible scholars and theologians would say no. People don't become angels. However, there are a few places in the Bible that some think give a wink to this idea. For example, in Mark chapter 12, men are referred to as like the angels. And probably most convincingly are the many places that angels look like men, and even a few places in the Old Testament that angels are called men. But as we look at the larger view of Scripture, it seems more convincing that humans remain humans when they die. Regularly, you might see on social media or hear someone say after a loved one has passed away, they say something like, "God just needed another angel in heaven." And while that person may simply be trying to be poetic, many people actually believe that deceased loved ones become angels. And that's just not true. Man and angels are 2 distinct beings. 1 Corinthians 4 verse 9 says this: "We have been made a spectacle to the whole universe, to angels as well as to human beings." 1 Corinthians chapter 6 verse 3 says, "Do you not know that we are to judge angels? How much more then matters pertaining to this life. So the Apostle Paul makes it clear we never become angels because in heaven we will still be men, judging angels. So both men and angels are eternal in nature, but distinctly different. Question number 4, do people have guardian angels? Now, the short answer is that the Bible is not really clear. I know we like to think that there's a towering angelic figure following us around, making sure we don't do really stupid things, keeping us from stepping off into traffic. But what the Bible does tell us unmistakably is that God will at times send angels to protect people. So what we see in the Old and New Testament is that God regularly sends angels to protect his people. Psalm 34 verse 7 says, the angel of the Lord encamps around those who fear him and delivers them. Daniel 6 verse 22 says, my God sent his angel and shut the lion's mouth, and they have not harmed me because I was found blameless before him and also before you, O king. I've done no harm. So what that means is that angels are all over the place at all times for the good of Christians. An angel who does something by God's assignment anywhere in the world is fulfilling the promise that God will work all things for the good of all Christians everywhere. Psalm 91 verse 11 through 12 says, he will give his angels charge of you to guard you in all your ways. On their hands they will bear you up, lest you dash your foot against a stone. But are these what we think of as guardian angels? Jesus' words in Matthew 18:10 seem to support the idea that individual people may have guardian angels. In heaven, their angels always hold the face of my Father who is in heaven. But Jesus may only mean that angels are assigned to protect little children in general. In sports terms, the angels may be playing zone rather than man-on-man defense. We don't really know. The idea of a personal guardian angel has been a really long time belief, but not necessarily because it's found specifically, explicitly in the Bible. One exception might be when Peter is released from prison in Acts chapter 12. The disciples say that they thought it was Peter's angel. But the vast majority of scriptures in the Old Testament seem to imply that angels are sent for the sake of an entire people group, not just for single people. Well, that's all the time we have for today's Ask a Pastor. If you'd like to submit a question to us, feel free to message us via Facebook, Twitter, or email. As always, if you have any questions about life, the Bible, and eternity, we'd love to help.